Joshua Cribbs turns disaster into a score!
Ugly, misformed little creature who has no purpose here, no meaning.
I am a human being.
Washed it down with 1 beer, 2 beers, 3 beers, a shot of whiskey, a margarita, and a Bloody Mary. And I said, Stone Cold, why have one when you can have them both?
Swung in and drilled! Deep right center! Away back! Gone for Tony!
Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up.
It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown!
Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton?
Awful.
How is she awful?
Hates freedom.
And now, Any Given Podcast with your hosts, Brendan Ward and Ethan Simpson.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup! Oh, blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection!
Hello and welcome back to another fantastic episode of Any Given Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ethan Simpson.
And I'm Brendan Ward. What's going on today, Ethan?
Not too much. Another beautiful day in the state of Ohio.
I mean, I agree with you today. The last few days have kind of been hotter than whatever euphemism you want to use. But today it was nice. It was a cool, breezy 65, 70 out there. I was loving it today.
Absolutely. Can't not beat that.
But you did mention that we are in Ohio. Ohio is a lot of times behind the times on things, and sports betting is definitely one of those things. I think it's definitely one of those things that me and you both want to dabble in a little bit. I don't think we're going to be avid sports bettors by all sense of the means. Our bank accounts just aren't set up like that yet. But the Ohio Casino Control Commission, because they wanted to make it sound all crazy, finally announced that sports betting in Ohio will begin on January 1st, 2023. Now, it was legalized and passed legally like 2 years ago. And then it's taken so much time to just get them to figure out what commission was going to control sports betting. So the real question I have from this is, we know it's going to happen on January 1st. Is it a miss that they're going to miss college football season or football season, not just college football season?
That's one of those tough ones there, because like you said, it passed years ago and it's taken them so long so that they could, so we could correctly do this, which means they just want to make as much money as possible from the casinos and from the consumers and DraftKings and all those different MyBookie, all those different websites you see. So it definitely took some time, I think, just by them trying to make it their own and fill their pockets. It's kind of strange, though, like you said, with them missing both football seasons. That's like prime time betting right there.
I think you'll get like the playoffs and the national championship game and New Year's 6 games, but other than that, like, I think it's a really big misstep, because we know football is king here in Ohio, whether you're a Bengals fan or a Browns fan, no matter, or Ohio State, Cincinnati, Kent State, football is really king here in Ohio. So I really thought, like, no matter who was going to be able to line their pockets with sports betting money, that they would really put an emphasis on being ready by August or even September, right before the NFL starts at least. Because after January 1st, I would say there's going to be a real big surge from January to mid-February. And then football season is over. And, I mean, I guess we can start betting on the XFL at that point. But not too many people are nuanced in baseball to where they're going to be able to bet on baseball. Basketball, something you can bet on, but I don't think it's going to be as big as football betting here in Ohio, at least.
Absolutely. As you said, football is king. Cleveland is a football city through and through, which to people outside of Northeast Ohio sounds absolutely insane, right? You would think with how good the baseball team and basketball team have been in recent years, and the 23 years of misery, maybe not 23. Okay, that was we have had some moments just in the recent years, but you would think that Cleveland would be more of a basketball, baseball town, but no, we are football. Eat, sleep, and breathe orange and brown or scarlet and gray. Even those clowns that are black and gold fans. So yeah, it is really weird that they would skip that. It is a misstep. I don't get it. Kind of it blows my mind a little bit that they would wait. Why not try to work it out to where you could have done it last year? I don't know. Just a weird thing to me.
By all means, I agree with you. I don't know, I don't get it, but I'm excited that it's happening. It's with if it ends up going towards like, I guess, helping with schools, kind of like the Ohio lottery is supposed to, and stuff like that. It could only benefit us here in Ohio. But enough on kind of just sports betting, and let's get into the the most, I would say, top topic of the week. The NBA Finals are here. Golden State in the Western Conference Finals, as we know, swept Dallas. Uh, Very mismatched series, and then the Boston Celtics end up beating the Miami Heat in 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. That sets up what is happening right now, which is Game 1 of the NBA Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics. You got Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, the usual cast of characters that we obviously know as Cavs fans, against this Boston Celtics team who for a while there just couldn't get past LeBron. It's this same team. It's the same team that LeBron knocked out years in a row. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. Even Al Horford's back on the Boston Celtics again. The difference now is LeBron's over in the West. Jason Tatum might be a budding superstar. Marcus Smart is the defensive player of the year. Al Horford's a couple seasons away from the retirement home. Does Boston have a shot in this series?
Yes, they do. I would say early on, you're gonna think these guys got a shot, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just gonna turn into the same old Warriors. Once they start hitting those threes, once they get that groove, it's just gonna be unstoppable. And I'm gonna have flashbacks to 2014 to 2018 of just the little stupid shimmy that Steph does and Draymond running his mouth and everything like that. It's going to be another year, another Golden State Finals.
Here's why I think Boston has a chance, and it has nothing to do with the team. You remember the magic that Cleveland put together in 2016 all too well, correct?
Yes.
Well, I mean, you better. You're a Cavs fan. It's the only title you've seen in team history. Guess when Game 1 started in 2016 of the NBA Finals?
When was that?
June 2nd, 2022. Tonight. Or
Okay.
June 2nd, 2016.
2016.
Game 1 through Game 7 of this series follows the exact same schedule as 2016 when the Cleveland Cavaliers end up topping the Golden State Warriors, including Golden State being the home team in games 1, 2, 5, and 7.
Okay. So you think because it's an even year, starts on the same day, they're playing the same schedule.
Exactly 6 years apart.
Do you have your rabbit's foot out with you?
There's I don't, but you can agree that as a sports fan, there is something in the magic of sports. We've seen it so many times. It's the reason you see Cinderella stories. It's the reason you see some teams win that shouldn't win. It's the run that the Indians had in 16 to the World Series. It was magic. It was the 3-1 deficit that the Cavs come back from. Magic. And while I say that that Cavs team is one of the best teams in NBA history without fault, you can come at me if you want to. I think this Boston Celtics team is good enough to put that magic together when all these things seem to fall in place like they do, and all these storylines seem to happen. Plus,
here's the thing. I would love to see it. I would love for the Warriors and their fans to be like, we're back, baby. Dynasty is back. Everything's right. Clay's healthy. Steph is shooting. Draymond's Draymond. Still, whatever Draymond does, runs his mouth. We're back, baby. This is prime time Golden State. And then the Celtics just coming out and having a run to Game 7, almost like you were saying, just like in 16, and it comes down to a shot or a block or a steal or something along those lines. And I would love to see it, except it's the Boston Celtics. Boston fans are so spoiled that they don't deserve any more championships. I can just picture that stupid kid with the sign that was like 9 before I was whatever, and then it was 13 before I was 9, and then it was like 16 before whatever when he was older at that other parade.
Yeah.
Like, I just think about that kid and just how that kid grew up being like, thinking that his shit does not stink because he's a Boston fan.
Right?
They don't deserve that. Look, you've had enough. Let somebody else have a little chance there, right? Let somebody else have a little fun. That's the only reason. I'm not rooting for any team in this series, except I'm kind of pushing for the Celtics a little bit, just because I hate Golden State that much.
That was going to be, you kind of covered it, but that was definitely my next question for you, is could you handle Golden State losing the title if it meant that Boston would win number 18? And you kind of put it into perfect perspective. It sucks that Boston, if they win this series, will be the NBA history leading with 18. But this past week has shown me once again why we hated the Warriors so much during that 4-year run. I am sick of people overrating this team. Everybody this week saying all Steph Curry needs is a Finals MVP and he's top 4 or 5 ever. No way.
He doesn't play defense. He doesn't cover his man. All he does is shoot wild threes. You know what would happen if he was pulling that for a high school team or a college team? He'd be benched or thrown off the team. He would drive the coach insane. Yeah. And look at all the guys. You've seen all those videos online on Twitter and whatnot of kids in the gym just throwing up these crazy shots and missing wide left, wide right, going over the hoop. Because they want to be like Steph. That guy has ruined the game. He makes Larry Bird vomit. There's nothing fundamental about his game. He
just runs around to me, really. That's kind of it. But yeah, exactly. That's kind of it's a no-win situation, at least as a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
Don't want Boston to win 18. If the Golden State Warriors win, that mess is just going to continue to be spewed that Steph is one of the best to ever do it. I'll agree. He probably has one of the best 3-point shots I've ever seen. I'll give him that, but he's not a top 10 player of all time. I hate when they do that. I can't stand it. It's the reason why, like, I know I have game 1 on right now, but it's the reason why, like, the only reason I'll watch this is because it's the finals. If this wasn't the finals, I wouldn't tune into this game. This is a game I can't stand. I can't stand these two teams. Whatever. I don't want to talk. I don't want to watch this game, but I'm gonna because It's the championship series. It's not. It's like the casual fans watching the Super Bowl. You have to. It's something you tune into because they're gonna crown a champion, and that's the end of the year.
Right now my TV is off. I turned my TV off because I've been watching the college softball World Series, and I don't need a distraction in front of me.
I got you. I'm not really intently watching it. I don't even know how much time is left in this game. I know it's in the fourth quarter.
No,
But
I get it. I'm just the real fact of the matter is I'm not going to give them the viewership and the ratings because 16 was the best championship ever, and I don't want this one to reach, a greater audience because the pandemic is over, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's actual basketball again, so everybody's going to be flooding in and tuning in. But besides that, do you think now that the Celtics are back in the finals? We're going back to 2016 a lot on this episode, but do you think that because the Celtics are in the finals now and it's 2022, that this will highlight how offensive and racist their logo is? A drunken Irish leprechaun with a swollen eye from getting in a fight. Do you think there'll be people out there protesting it?
I doubt it.
Because a lot of Irish live in Boston.
I doubt it. I agree with you. So you don't buy the story that it's actually Red Auerbach?
No, it's a leprechaun. It's a leprechaun with a big black eye, a swollen shut eye, leaning onto his cane, smoking on a pipe. I get it. A lot of Irish live in Boston. I was just making a back to 2016 joke.
It works. You know what I'm saying? So to go back to 2016 and just to kind of segue into our next topic, I want to bring up LeBron for a second. Is there something in this, if Boston wins this championship, that since LeBron left the East has won every single year but once? And it was the year LeBron won. Correct?
The East has won every single time.
Since LeBron left Cleveland, it went Toronto, LA, Milwaukee, and then if Boston wins this year. The only one that won in the West is LeBron. Toronto, Milwaukee, Boston if they win this year. Gotcha. I just accidentally did the shocker on camera.
Hey now. You going to the frat party later, bro?
I don't have any interest, never did, never will.
Bro, you throwing up the shocker, man.
It was just somehow that's how I counted, and all of a sudden I'm sitting here like this on camera, and I was like, whoa, let's not pull that up. But speaking of LeBron, let's kind of move on from the NBA Finals. LeBron James has now become, officially today, the first active NBA player to become a billionaire. I mean, it's probably something that we could have foreseen, just because, last year, he sold his media company for $700 million, and he's on a $200 million contract. It's damn near close already. You know what I'm saying? So he only needed a couple more. He signed a $1 billion lifetime contract with Nike. We knew he was getting there. It was just a matter of when. Apparently, June 2nd, 2022 is the day when it becomes a when.
Yeah, he has a lot of great ventures that he's doing. Like you said, with the Nike deal and the movies he's in, his company. He's got a lot of smart friends and advisors. Yeah, he's got a lot of smart business advisors too.
And it's good that a lot of them kind of came with him from high school, and he kind of put his boys on. And that's my favorite thing about it is it's not even just him. It's him and his boys doing it together. Yeah.
But that's 100% him being advised. Like, his business advisors are like, look, do this, do this, do this. And not hating or anything. Obviously, I'm not hating. Would I
Yeah.
love to be a billionaire? Duh, who wouldn't? I mean, you're just straight up lying to yourself if you say, "Nah, man, nah."
I'd rather work for my money.
Right? Or just be like, "I'd rather live off the earth." Blah blah blah. Dude, you're lying. You're lying. Anybody would love to be a billionaire, especially from a natural God-given talent. Insane. Would love to do that. But it's awesome that he is the first active player billionaire. He's just showing that he's following in Jordan's footsteps and just doing it a little better.
Yeah.
Except for maybe all the rings.
Well, we'll see if he comes back and joins as a role player on this Cavs team. He might have a shot at some more. But I mean, if he doesn't, he's probably stuck at 4. Draymond claims that he's going to be a billionaire by age 38. So LeBron gets his news about being a billionaire, and Draymond kind of decides to piggyback off of it. And, in common Draymond fashion, says that he'll be a billionaire by 38 based on his business ventures as well. And I bring that up because Draymond makes a lot of claims. One of the other claims he made is that during those runs to the finals while Kevin Durant was on the team and they easily had the best team in all of basketball, Draymond the other night on the Colin Cowherd podcast claimed that Steph Curry was the one instead of Kevin Durant that would see the double teams. Now, I don't know about you, and I know Tyronn Lue has come out and said that, yes, he did double team Steph Curry quite a bit in the finals, and that's usually who he would double team. But I don't know about you, but maybe that's why we lost. Because if I'm a coach, I'm double teaming Kevin Durant every single time over Steph Curry, no matter what.
All you have to do is put Delly on Steph Curry and he's shut down.
Right? You had the facilities, bro. Put Delly on him and then send 3 people over to stop KD. Or let Draymond shoot wide open. We know he can't shoot.
Absolutely. And I would put all the guys on KD because KD's an actual all-around basketball player. He can shoot, he can drive to the paint. So, yeah, I would put more guys on him than Steph. That's just a ridiculous claim, and I think he's just saying that because KD's no longer with the team. So
KD did respond and say, from my perspective, that's not what it seemed like. 100% false. And it's just like during that run, if LeBron wasn't in the league, Kevin Durant was the best player in the league.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just kind of the going back to the reason we as Cavs fan hate the Golden State Warriors so much. It's this blowing out of proportion of the talent that they have. Like, I get they're a good team collectively, but none of them. Klay Thompson to me is the best player on the team, and maybe not right now because he's still getting back from his injury. But prior to his injuries, to me, Klay Thompson was the best because he was the two-way player.
That's what I was going to say. I've always said it. I've said it on this podcast multiple times. Klay Thompson is the best player. Steph Curry might be the face because he's flashy and he can hit those threes. But Klay Thompson is absolutely the best player on that team. And Draymond just gets carried by those two. And he's the one. He is the dude in the crew that doesn't do anything and just picks up the scraps from it. Like, he's the hype man of the group. That's why he's always running that motor mouth of his. It's just constantly running because he's replaceable. He's not irreplaceable like Steph's shooting or Klay.
Yeah.
You could easily just find another guy to fill that spot.
Yeah.
So that's why he's doing the big talk, right? Yeah. He's barking louder than his bite.
Yeah. I totally agree with you because he, to me, is a glorified role player. And even that is almost like the glorified doesn't need to be there. He's a role player that gets starting minutes, which is why I call him glorified. But you're right. They're replaceable. Put Al Horford in Draymond Green spot, and I think we've got the same team.
Put Tristan Thompson there.
I mean, I wasn't gonna go that far. Tristan Thompson has kind of fell off a cliff, but
You want me to go that far?
all right, go even further if you want,
Put
man.
Sasha Khan. You can put Sasha Khan in that.
I am all for the Draymond hate.
You can put Sasha there.
I
You
mean,
can put Timothy there.
let's go ahead and throw Brian Scalabrine in there and be all right.
Yeah, I mean, you could put anybody there as long as you just get in front. As long as you're a big guy that can get on the ball like Draymond and do dirty stuff. Yeah, I know quite a few big people that do dirty stuff that could fill that situation or fill that role.
You know, a lot of big dudes that do dirty stuff that can fill the situation. I got you.
No. I said people. I didn't say dude. I said
right.
people. So I didn't. Come on now.
I was just trying to make a joke out of it. So
I know. I got the joke,
Good.
and I'm coming in saying I said people, so it wasn't just specific.
Well, that's because it's 2022. We can't genderize here on any given podcast.
Yeah. Well, all right. When you get down to it and you start having to explain the jokes and whatnot, that's when the joke's dead.
It works for me because it's time to move on to Luke Walton and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And what I mean by that is Luke Walton, ex-Lakers head coach, Kings head coach, has now joined the Cleveland Cavaliers and JB Bickerstaff's coaching staff. That was a long one. As an assistant coach. What do you think about this? Kind of, I like it. I think it adds an offensive mind to the team and helps develop some of the younger guys. What do you think about Luke Walton joining the Cleveland Cavaliers amid backlash that a lot of people don't like that he did?
I love it. I love that he's on the team. He was a player's coach. Number one overall, he was a player, right?
Yeah.
Number two, he was a head coach in the league. He had a job, so obviously he was good enough. Number three, he's a player's coach. He's a coach for the players. And that's what's perfect for an assistant coach.
Yeah.
He can be the one that's like, he can be on their side while JB's kind of like, all right, what you're about to do is not going to help out in this situation. You pulling up that three, pass the ball.
Yeah.
And you let the assistant coach kind of be the buddy.
Yeah.
That was my first thought was, all right, he's no longer the head coach, so he doesn't have to play, he doesn't have to be the bad guy, play the bad guy role. He can do the buddy, as long as JR is not in there throwing soup at him like the other assistant coach, I think he'll be fine. But yeah, he's a perfect pickup. And anybody that's mad about it, thinking that JB is going to be replaced by him and think that JB's job is in jeopardy or something like that. Dude, did you guys even watch any game this year? JB's job is secure.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, as long as that team keeps playing how it is and they, keep making it to the playoffs, they're going to be just fine. Whether it's a play-in game or not, they're going to be just fine.
I think the Cavaliers would have to fall off the edge of a cliff for JB to not be the head coach 2 years from now. I kind of agree with your with your reaction. Aside from, I would say that my initial reaction was he's an assistant coach. And I have seen him everywhere he's an assistant coach shine. It's like you said, when he takes over as head coach where it becomes harder for him. Assistant coach is Luke Walton's bread and butter, and I think it only helps develop these young guys. What we need.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always great to have somebody whose name is Luke and last name starts with Walt on your team, whether it's Walton or I don't know, Luke Walter. Yeah, it's always good to have somebody like that on your team.
My man is shouting out the camera guy from back in the day. We need him back.
We definitely do. We definitely do.
We got him back, man. We'd be in there. You ready for some baseball?
I'm always ready for baseball.
I knew you were gonna say that. That's why I asked it. Robinson Cano, we talked about his struggles. What was it, 3 weeks ago, on the show. Not really doing anything over there in San Diego. We kind of foreseen what ended up happening. Coming, Robinson Cano has officially been released by the Padres. When we talked about him, he had just been demoted to the minor leagues, and Robinson Cano has been around for a while. He's not going to want to stay in the minor leagues, so I'm guessing he almost threw a fit to try to get his release. But he definitely just, you think Robinson Cano gets another team and has a chance to kind of make things right with his career?
Yes, I do. I definitely do, because he is a veteran player. He has jumped around from a few teams. I guess that's not really jumping around then. He's played for a few different organizations. He's been around the block. And in his prime, he was a very good player. So you send him to a team where they have prospects coming up. These guys are coming up from AAA, right? A young team. Like a team like the Marlins, somebody who is still trying to figure out how to build that team. And I use the Marlins just as an example because, I mean, how many guys do you need to come through like that? You guys had Ichiro. You guys have had so many veterans come through, and the Marlins is just a mess, right? But you get a young team like that. You know what I'm saying. You get a young team like that, and you bring him in, and maybe he's not an everyday player, right?
It's not even about what he does on the field anymore, though, at that point.
Yeah, you bring him in as a locker room guy.
Yeah.
He's out there playing on the field, but he's showing these young guys, all right, like, this is what you have to do out here for training, right? You're getting ready for this big series coming up, and you're out there practicing a little bit. It's like, all right, I know this guy. I've played against him since he came up in the bigs, right? Watch, he's going to try and bring it high and inside. Just knowing different things about pitchers and how to play and training. That's what you need. You need to bring in those veteran guys on a team. So will he land somewhere? Absolutely. Is he going to be the star? No, bro. It's not 2012 anymore. You're a little bit past that.
Yeah, I that's kind of, I believe you're absolutely right. That's kind of the only way I see him continue to. Sorry, I think the game just ended. I was trying to check the score, but that's the only way I could see him continuing to play in the league, is where he's on as just a veteran of a young team that's just trying to really get their shit together, to put it into perspective, and teach them kind of what it takes to be a professional baseball player, because he's been around for a long time, and not a lot of people get that chance to be around as long as he has. So for him to, like you said, just kind of bestow that knowledge on the younger guys and tell them that, because we see that baseball is lacking in that, especially with the Tommy Pham and Jock Peterson situation, where Tommy Pham decides that before the game he's going to go ahead and slap Jock Peterson while they're training on the field over a fantasy football dispute, where Jock Peterson apparently sent a meme making fun of the Padres last year that made wait, I said that wrong. Jock sent the meme that made fun of the Padres, that pissed Tommy Pham off so bad that he left the league and waited months to slap Jock Peterson when they finally met face to face in person. Mike Trout was the commissioner of that league. I know you have a take on this, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it along to you and just say, let it fly what you need to say about this situation.
This is probably the dumbest one of the dumbest non-stories that all these major sports tabloids won't stop talking about. They just won't stop talking about it. Like he slapped him before a game. Okay. That's happened multiple times. Remember when people used to fight? Remember when it was at A-Rod during the ALD or ALCS? Was that in 04 when he charged the mound and Veritek was like shoving his thumb in his eye and stuff? People used to fight. It wasn't just scuffle. Jose Batista and Odor.
Yeah, Rougned Odor.
Remember when people used to fight? It wasn't just pushing and shoving, and they acted like 3 50-plus-year-old umpires were pushing 20 and 30-year-old guys away. Insane. So, okay, this has happened before.
Yeah.
But and they served their suspensions. The story is over, but no. Mike Trout's involved. So here we go. Let's talk about it, right? Mike Trout's involved. He's the commissioner. That's so cool, right? Oh my gosh, let's keep talking about it. Jock Peterson's in it. Younger star player. That's so cool. This is so interesting. They were playing on ESPNFantasy.com. Whatever, on the ESPN Fantasy app. You can find it in the Google Play Store or the Apple Store.
That's free marketing.
That's free marketing. Everybody has it. If you play fantasy football, you already have it, right?
Yeah.
But it's just such a non-story that it's driving me insane. It's just time to stop talking about it. It's not that good of a story either. There's so many better stories going on in the MLB that this scuffle because of fantasy football. It's mind-blowing. And another thing that's another non-story that is still going around, thankfully it's starting to die down, is the Will Smith Chris Rock slap.
I can't believe.
Go on.
I can't believe we still hear about that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But this dude, after seeing Will Smith smack Chris Rock on stage at the Oscars, now he thinks, okay, at my job, it's okay for me to walk up and smack this dude in the mouth.
Nah, yeah.
He thinks it's, appropriate now to smack people in the mouth that you have a dispute with over fantasy football on a team you don't even play for anymore. It's just ridiculous. It's just such a non-story. That's why it's driving me insane. That's why I am just I'm fuming right now. I mean, it's just so dumb. Like, quit talking about it. And I'm mad at myself for even writing that down and having to write on the sheet of paper. Time to stop talking about it.
I agree. You want to know why? Because I think the real story in this whole situation is the fact that Jock Peterson is a late 20-year-old Cabbage Patch Kid.
Yeah.
I can't believe he did that with his head. He looks terrible.
That's what they tell you to do, man. That's the new trend is these people getting these wackadoo haircuts. Remember when everybody was making fun of the man bun? Man bun was just fine, Yeah. Now these guys are doing that. They're wearing baggy pants again. It's these young kids coming out. He's trying to be hip. It's ridiculous, man. That is a trash haircut.
He looks like and his face is round too. And I know I got a big round head myself, but I'm not here with a big round head and my hair that only goes out to here on my head from on each side and dyeing it as blonde as can be. I went long hair for a reason. I gotta fill out the around my head because it's so freaking big. That's the story to me. He looks ridiculous up there talking, and then you've got this guy. Yeah, this is what this is what I texted. This is what I did with you, and this is the meme I sent. Who gives a shit? Like you said, he got slapped, bro. Like you said, that the Batista Odor fight, they beat the crap out of each other until they were pulled apart. That one was a story. Talk about That's one that deserves to be talked about. Not this dude going and bitch slapping somebody 8 months after quitting his fantasy football league.
Dude, it's just wild. Like, Bill Romanowski was breaking guys' eye sockets in practice, his own teammates. Like, that was some, malice at the palace. They were going after fans, right?
Yeah.
Like, this was some real stuff. Like I said, Nolan Ryan was 75 years old, whooping off on 20-year-olds on the mound. And when I say whooping off, he was whooping these kids' asses.
Yeah.
Like, these were real fights. And now they're slapping. Jeez Louise. My goodness. This is not the America I want my kids to grow up in. Like I said on the podcast a few weeks ago.
But now that you're frustrated with the fact that we just talked about it so much, you want some good news?
What's that?
The Boston Celtics won Game 1 of the NBA Finals.
There we go. What I say.
There you go.
What I say. I said they're going to come out hot, and then it's going to click for the Warriors, and they're going to probably win it in Game 6 or 7.
We'll see how it plays out. We'll get a chance to talk again before it's over, and then right after it's over. In the span of the next 2 weeks. Want to talk football? What do you got?
One thing, I forgot to put this in.
All right.
I would just like to address this. I made a tweet the other day when there was another rain delay for the Cleveland Baseball Club, baseball team, whatever you want to call it.
The Deans.
Yeah. I used to argue with people about the idea of doming that field. Well, one, just because how would you dome it? It would turn out like the new outer facade of Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, where they just literally put a glass Tupperware container, whatever, over top of it.
Right.
Like it's a piece of cake or pie at a diner, and they put the little top over it. But
That's a very good expression.
Thank you. That was off the dome too. I didn't even think about that. But I think it is time for the Cleveland baseball team to put some kind of retractable roof over Progressive Field. Because why not take any authentic field that is left with that organization and just throw it out the window? I want these people that still go there to not have an authentic baseball feel, because you guys are you're watching millionaires play beer league softball. By that, I mean, it's the logo, the team name, like it's just a little league name. Yeah. So just take the whole field that I used to love going to Progressive Field, the history and everything. They threw that all out when they gave it that new name with those trash logos. So you know what? Take away the feeling of you're at a baseball game. Take it all away. Ruin it, just like you've already ruined it. We're just ruin the little bit of authenticity and fun and the good old days, like growing up and going to the game is what I meant by the good old days of being at a baseball stadium. Take that away, man. Just literally put a dome over it like it's the Simpsons movie.
I tend to agree with you because it's already gone. We both have talked about it numerous times. We don't need to talk about it. What are they at?
15? Like 14 rain delays this year?
Yeah, there's so many makeup games that are going to have to happen. They're going to be playing double headers like out of their ass later in the year because of how many rain delays there have been here in Cleveland. It's been ridiculous. Like it's to the point where it's 50-50 whether they're playing or not, especially if it's in Cleveland. So I agree with you. It's ridiculous, and I'm glad you kind of brought it up, even if it wasn't written down, because, like you said, you already destroyed the team. Might as well just kind of continue.
Right. Like I said, any authentic feel that team had, they threw it in the trash. That's not the team I grew up watching.
Well, and I mean, the only reason you have Jose Ramirez is because he didn't want to move.
Right. And I love that Jose stayed there. And I truly wish that I could be happy about Jose staying. I'm happy for Jose, and I'm happy for the money it's bringing to the city of Cleveland, and I'm happy what it's doing for the game, because maybe other players will think like that instead of just jumping around paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
But other than that, I could care less about that team. I refuse to call them by their name just because of what they. And look, I understand some people found it offensive and whatnot, but it's just the fact that the whole situation. And the only reason I'm bringing this up like this is because we haven't talked about them for a while in the name change. So I decided to shake things up as well. But yeah, just take away any authentic feel. That's all I had to say. That's one thing I thought the other day. I wish I could root for Jose and Shane Bieber and all those guys and the team that I watched them build up. And I mean, look what they're doing now. They're under 500.
Yeah.
They're going to stay under 500. It's ridiculous. And Jose's having a historical run. And it's just like, I can't enjoy it. I just can't enjoy it. I'm happy for Jose, man. I root for Jose, but I just can't enjoy it.
I understand. I can't argue, unfortunately, because I understand. I agree. It's the reason I call them Deans and not really anything else, because you almost took the Cleveland out of it for me too. Because
it would have been better if they just moved the team.
Yeah,
it honestly would have.
Well, and like I said last week, I might have been able to get over it if there hasn't been this full-on onslaught of erasing the history of the team.
Yeah.
If we could still recognize that they were the Indians just last year, then I could stomach it a little better. But the fact that the MLB won't even say it, it is just ridiculous to me, and it makes it real hard to even kind of deal with it and give a shit about watching the team now and really even care. It's made it hard for me to care about baseball that much. And it's your number one sport. It's my number two. And it for both of us.
I mean, it's number one, but football's right up there. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both pretty close for me too. Football is on top for me. But baseball, I know, I mean, even if you say they're close, is on top for you. And for me to even see where you have, I mean, aside from the games you went to in Florida, have rarely cared about baseball. It's been hard to kind of stomach, and it's maybe one day down the line we'll soften up and we'll get back into it as much as we were. But as it stands right now, I don't see it, and I don't foresee it, and I'm almost depressing myself. So you want to talk about football at this point so we could cheer up maybe?
Yeah, you want to talk about depressing. How about watching one of your favorite players re-sign and do all this that you should be ecstatic about?
Right?
But you know what?
That's Jose signing for what he did is like LeBron if he signed in 2000 before the decision and just signed for a cheap deal and just played here and stayed here and just won multiple titles. And I know Jose hasn't won anything, but that's how I would put it in perspective, just because it's so out of the ordinary that they kept a star player. We're not used to it. We've watched them all leave. All of them.
Yep.
Every single one of them. There hasn't been one. Well, there have been borderline guys, but name me a star the level of Jose Ramirez that has stayed.
Like throughout their whole career or through their prime?
Through their prime. If you leave at the end, I don't give a shit.
Kenny Lofton came back. He played his first game back July 27, 2007.
Yeah, but he came back. Where'd he go?
Hopped around, same like Tommy.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, even Tommy might be the biggest name in history almost. Well, in the last 30 years, I would say. He left. You know what I'm saying? So Everybody.
Bob Feller didn't leave.
Bob, that was 100 years ago, bro. Like, you know what I can't do anything about that. It was a little different back then, but in the era of us, 30 years and under, I would say we haven't seen it to where they have kept their star player. But again, just depressing ourselves about the history of Cleveland baseball. Let's go ahead and get into football. We had quite a few retirements over the last couple of days. Frank Gore, top 10 all time in rushing yards, played a ridiculous amount of time, announces that he's retiring as a San Francisco 49er. Ryan Fitzpatrick, possibly the greatest journeyman quarterback to ever play the game. We've seen him take bad teams to the playoffs. We've seen him come in and start for multiple teams. He calls it quits, even texting every single player he ever played with and letting them know that he retired. And then this one I found out today when I was looking up information. Alex Mack retires after 13 seasons in the NFL.
Yeah, I didn't know that until you wrote that down. I didn't really see anything about Alex Mack, and I'll address Alex Mack here. I'll go down the list.
Uh-huh.
Frank Gore going back to the 49ers to retire. Obviously, that's where he had his best seasons.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Hey, he's a forever 49er. Canton, Ohio, he's going to be in a 49ers uniform, right?
Yeah, as he should be.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, I was trying to give you the little signal. Great beard. Hall of Fame beard. That beard needs to be in Canton, Ohio. I was doing the beard thing. I was trying to get you to notice that.
I caught it. It was just I was kind of going. And do you think he had a Hall of Fame career?
Ryan Fitzpatrick?
I know it's weird to think about because he bounced around so much and he was never like that solidified starter. But he's certainly done a lot of things.
There should be a certain section in the Hall of Fame for journeyman, right?
Yeah.
Him, Josh McCown, guys that jumped around from team to team, but were good enough to consistently be on a roster and start and win games.
Well, because they were guys that were good enough to start, but they were always being signed by teams that were trying to go young.
Right.
So they'd bring in this guy, let him start and play and make their team all right, and then they'd go young.
And you know who else would belong on that list? And this is not me. This is not me being a homer. Number 6. Michigan State, St. Ignatius.
I mean,
Brian Axel Hoyer belongs to be at that.
Once you start thinking about accomplishments of what he started looking like and how he started bouncing around because of the attributes that journeymen have that he possessed, then yeah, I agree with you. Hoyer.
Absolutely. There's a reason why those guys, but they bounce around teams, but like I said, there's a reason why those guys are on NFL rosters. And some guys are second strings and stuff, and they get cut, and you never really hear of them again.
Yeah.
These guys are able to stay in the league for over a decade.
Yeah.
Because they're that good, but they're not that good to be at the full-time starter. They're great filler guys. They're great to come in down, right? 2014 Cleveland Browns look like Cardiac Kids 2.0.
Yeah.
If the Haslams weren't trying to get Johnny Manziel in there, and they weren't clearly having the wide receivers mess around and having the linemen miss blocks, I mean, it was plain as day when you watched the games. Brian Hoyer would have taken that team to the playoffs. Brian Hoyer, I've mentioned this before, his jersey's in Canton, Ohio.
Yeah.
Biggest comeback from a away team is some statistic, one of those things. But his jersey's in canned from that game, yeah, against the Titans. So there should be a special spot, like one journeyman, every couple years, every 5 years, right? Bring him in there.
Yeah, it could be a special wing. And then Alex Mack, what'd you have on him?
Alex Mack, see, I liked Alex Mack, right? He was a part of that. He was a part of that Cardiac Kids 2.0 team.
Yeah, I agree with you. To me, the Alex Mack thing is really just it was money. That's it.
It cut me off there. If you would have let me finish.
Well, I gotta have a take here at some point.
Okay, have your take. You know what? Have your take. That's right. That was greedy of me, man. That was.
I'm just kidding with you. You can have a take too.
That was selfish, dude. That was selfish. I just rambled off too.
But that's kind of my thing. You said you like Alex Mack. I don't have a problem with him because it was the Browns at that time were not spending money. It was about roster turnover. It was about making this team not as good as they can be, but about collecting picks and moving forward to where it ended up setting up where we're at now, where the team is at now. So for Alex Mack to be able to go and have success in Atlanta and go to that Super Bowl that they ended up losing with them and getting the money that he deserved because he was an all-pro player, no problems here.
Yeah, I didn't like him because he left. That's what I was gonna say, because he left because of the money. But I get it, man. You gotta. As a fan, I don't like him. As a human being, like, okay, you got to go where the money is, right?
Yeah.
You're an NFL quarterback. This isn't, I get it, and especially with what you hear about the organization and how you've seen it run. I feel it, man. And he left and he went to that Super Bowl. Obviously, didn't win. I was kind of out of his control.
Yeah. Center's not going to change that much.
Right. But I didn't like seeing Alex Mack leave. I didn't like seeing Mitchell Sports leave. I didn't like seeing those guys leave because they were part of that 2014 team that was just very awesome. Enjoyed it a lot. That's all I had to say. I was being very selfish. And I apologize.
No, I apologize. It ain't even selfish because I kind of teed you up and then you said something and I took over. It was weird. It wasn't even selfishness. I teed you up to say something and then you said something real quick and I took over. So it might have even been selfishness on my part. But then I was like, I got to say this, so let me say it.
You see, this is communication. This is healthy. This is how a healthy relationship is supposed to happen.
All healthy relationships here at any given podcast is what we try to. But speaking of relationships that we may have been kind of construed as unhealthy, Myles Garrett and Baker Mayfield. Myles Garrett has come out and said after OTAs this week in some of his time with the Cleveland media that Baker Mayfield will bounce back, and I agree. Me and you obviously have definitely shown our support for one Baker Reagan Mayfield, sometimes more often than most people, but for Myles Garrett to come out and be like, yeah, Baker will be all right. Like we've said before, Deshaun, it's just hard to argue that he may be he's the better player. Baker's not bad. He's I won't say he's elite. He's a good quarterback, and he'll bounce back once a team decides that they need him.
Yeah, that's 100% what's going to happen. And the Browns are just holding on to him to see if you're Kevin Stefanski, who would you rather have starting this season? Because obviously Deshaun Watson's going to be suspended.
Nah.
For who knows how long. So who are they going to start? Okay, let's see. Yeah, we have Josh Dobbs. We have Jacoby Brissett. And then there might be somebody else. Oh, yeah, the number 1 overall pick from Oklahoma, Baker Mayfield. Yeah, let's stick with him to see what is going to happen with our quarterback we just dropped the most money on a quarterback in NFL history on. So, yeah, obviously they're going to do that, which not fair to Baker at all. Baker should be with his new team, starting that relationships with them. There's that key word again.
Yeah.
Starting those relationships and learning that playbook and actually playing a meaningful season.
Yeah.
But he's not going to, right? The Browns are going to hold on to him for another year, for this year. So what he should do is go out there, put a smile on his face, play, ball out, and then just be like, all right, as soon as that's up, go sign and win with another team. Kick the shit out of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to see it as a fan, but as, a Baker guy, go ahead, dude. Go kick the shit out of Cleveland next time you play him. I'm going to be rooting against you. It's going to be one of those, like, oh, I got to go with my boys, but you're my boy. I'm going to root for you on your own, right? Separately from the team. But he should, smile on his face. Like I said about OTAs and training camp, just go ball out, show these guys what they messed up on, and then go somewhere else. But make it look like you're willing to do whatever it is for that team to win,
Yeah.
Be like, okay, I'm supposed to do my job, come in and win. Cool. I'm good with that. I'm going to win. I know these guys. We're going to play. Awesome. Because other teams are going to look at that and be like, okay, so everything that we've heard about Baker being too cocky, being a cancer in the locker room, not having good relationships with his receivers and other teammates, we'll look at him now. He's out there balling, and he should stay silent the whole time.
Yeah.
I know it'll be hard for him because
it's not who he is.
I know. I'm one of those guys that loves to, flashy, whatnot, talking smack at the appropriate times.
Yeah.
Showing out. I definitely have that personality trait just like him, but stay silent until once that contract signed with another team, then just do whatever you want. But dude, nose to the grindstone, just stay silent, ball out, go 0 dark 6, and do what you got to do, man. Get that paycheck, win a Super Bowl.
Whatever he's got to do to kind of get himself back, I think he can. And then the
I
last thing that I have for the Browns here, and we'll talk about it quickly because I don't know how much we could really kind of continue to gripe on this situation until it's resolved. But a 23rd woman has added herself to the list of women that have brought civil suits against Deshaun Watson. She cited the HBO interview, the Real Sports interviews that went out last week, as kind of her courage to finally come and speak out. She said that the women that she saw speak out on the interview kind of empowered her to speak her truth now. Deshaun continues to deny all allegations and says that he has done no wrong. And until it gets resolved, we're kind of in this state of will they, won't they, in terms of will they, won't they suspend him, and will it happen or will it won't happen in terms of will he be charged and really kind of looked at as this guy that has done all these things. But other than that, I don't think we need to get too deep into this because what can be said that hasn't already been? We've talked about it for 4 weeks in a row. What can be said that hasn't already been said?
Yeah, it's a tough situation there. It's been going on for a year and a half now.
Yeah.
Like you said, what can we say that hasn't already been said? And on every news outlet, not just sports news, every news outlet is reporting on this, talking about it, especially here in Northeast Ohio, probably down there in Texas too.
No, I'm sure.
The only thing I'm going to say more on this than that is, why is the NFL, like, why haven't they come to a decision yet? They said they were going to release one. They said they were ready to release one, right? They said that they had went through all that stuff.
I would just say that the NFL kind of does what they want. The last thing I read said that they will either release something before the start of training camp if they decide to suspend him this year. If not, a suspension won't happen until the resolve of all the cases in 2023.
They're just dragging this out, especially for a league that wants to bury stuff.
Well, that's the biggest thing for me on it. If we're gonna get into it, is how can you let this guy play this year if you decide to kick it down the road until things are over? How can you let this guy play this year and then decide next year he's got to sit?
Well, there wasn't enough evidence. We didn't have all the evidence.
But just because he ended up settling, if he settles in 2023, now there's evidence?
Yeah, I have no clue. They're acting like they're doing this by the book and whatnot, but it does seem a little sloppy.
To me, they're acting like they want the court to make their decision for them.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's really strange. They're like, yeah, we'll let you know. Yeah, we'll let you know. Like sitting there, like, oh, have you figured something out? Because they don't want to be wrong.
Yeah,
that's the only thing.
That's really what it is.
They just don't want to be wrong, because what happens if, the suits don't go as they thought it was going to go, and then it's like, well, we suspended him, and then nothing just a whole mess.
But I do think it's better to do that for the NFL's image. I think it's better for them to suspend him this year, and then it come out that nothing ever happened and he gets cleared of everything, than it is for him to play this year and then maybe something insignificant comes out and they suspend him for that next year. Right. Then it's like, well, you already let him on the damn field.
Right. Just rip the Band-Aid off now. Don't pull at it.
Because to me, if you suspend him, okay, you suspended him. And no matter what the outcome of the cases end up being, you suspended him no matter what. You gave him the personal conduct thing. You said that even if he's free and clear, because he's being sued for these type of things, that's against the personal conduct policy, we suspended Deshaun Watson. And then if he gets clear, then he got suspended because he was accused. And sure, it sucks, but we'd have to deal with it. I think it's a better public image, though, than being like, hey, yeah, we let him play last year, but now that he decided to pay these guys $10,000 a piece, we're going to suspend him.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Because it'd be like, well, he was already suspended.
Yeah.
He was already suspended, and then something else comes out. But I don't know.
What I'm saying is,
it's a tough situation. Yeah. But these guys should have been prepared for whatever is going to happen here.
It's a tough situation, but they knew somebody was going to pick him up at some point.
Yeah. Like I said, they're just trying to cover their own ass. They could care less. If this wasn't such under the microscope, he would have been playing.
What do you mean? He could have played. If Houston would have let him play last year, he would have played. He could have played last year.
You know what I mean, though. Like, they would have you would have been playing if it wasn't under such of a big microscope.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be a thing. He'd be on the field, and that'd be that. If there weren't being stories written about it, the NFL wouldn't give a shit.
Right. Because how many other things are going on like this story with other players that it's not being talked about?
Aaron Hernandez murdered somebody and didn't have to stop playing until he went to prison.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to say different organization, but we are talking about the Haslams. So
Exactly.
They don't really follow the play by the book. They don't really follow all the rules.
I mean, they've been sued themselves. Pilot.
Flying J, baby.
I was gonna say Flying J is a thing of the past that we just don't talk about anymore here in Cleveland.
Right. What? No, we have Circle K and Sheets. There's not really any Wawas. You got to go more towards Pennsylvania.
Hey,
I don't know what a Flying J is.
We're getting a Sheets over here in the ghetto too.
There you go. Hey man, I got a Sheets right up the road.
I can't wait.
It's always a fun thing to have a Sheets right down the street. Very convenient.
I can't wait, my man. But that's all I got for this episode, aside from when you're about to give me this day in sports history. So go ahead, this day in sports history.
This day in sports history brought to you by KentStagePosters.com. That's KentStagePosters.com. This day in sports history, May 3rd, 1977. Our old friend here in Cleveland, Ohio, Pronk, Travis Hafner, was born on this day. It's Travis Hafner's birthday, buddy. I hope you're spending the day with family, enjoying it, and also spending some of that money that the Cleveland Indians gave you with that giant contract you got back then.
One of the very few people they gave money to. So it's like Travis Hafner, Nick Swisher, and now Jose Ramirez.
Right, and Pronk was Pronk. He definitely wasn't Jose Ramirez, but he definitely wasn't Nick Swisher.
Yeah, he was somewhere in between. He definitely had some marketability. They named a whole section after him. Pronkville was some of the funnest experiences, the funner experiences I've had at games. Just messing around in Pronkville, but
they also had Brohio.
Yeah, we try to forget about old Nick Swisher and Brohio. I'd rather go to a party at Napoli's or some shit.
Party in Napoli's. There you go. There's another guy real fast. There's another guy that's a journeyman right there.
Oh, that is like the MLB journeyman right there.
Oh yeah. He should have there should be another spot like that in Cooperstown.
Maybe we're on to something that we need to start pitching to corporate MLB and NFL.
Right.
Headquarters.
NBA, you have players like Richard Jefferson, Channing Frye, guys that played around. J.R. Smith.
Right, yeah.
Who's another guy that jumped around. You can't really say Shaq because that doesn't really that doesn't matter.
That popped in my head. I was like, do you call Shaq a journeyman? He was too good to be called.
He was just an old dude trying to get cash playing around.
Al Horford, I'd call one.
Yeah. Tristan Thompson now.
Yeah. Dwight Howard, maybe?
No, I wouldn't say Dwight Howard because that was at the end of his career.
Yeah, I guess. He was a star in Orlando.
Crowder,
that's a good one.
Kyle
Korver's a good one. Isaiah Thomas would probably be a good one if he didn't fall off a cliff after that hip injury.
Right, and you could also say technically Derrick Rose, but that's just because, once again, the injury prone.
Yeah, injury screwed him. He'd have been a Bull for life if he didn't get hurt.
Right, and you could say Ray Allen. Or not Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo. I guess you could say Rajon Rondo, but Rajon Rondo, that was just when he was old. Same with Kevin Garnett. They just kind of jumped around when they were old. That doesn't really mean you're a journeyman. Journeyman's start a career to end a career.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, that's all I had for this day in sports history, brought to you by KentStagePosters.com.
And that means that this is the end of the episode. Thank you guys for tuning in to Any Given Podcast. You guys have a wonderful and fantastic rest of your week. I mean, if we record on time this time, we'll talk to you again in 3 or 4 days. So we look forward to that. Maybe we'll we'll have like 1 or 2 more finals games in by that point. Maybe the Celtics are running away with things after winning game 1. Thank you guys for tuning in Any Given Podcast. You guys have a wonderful and fantastic rest of your week.
God bless. Stay blessed.